Hi everyone, a very good evening to all of you and welcome to the webinar. So yes, we have started finally and I'll quickly share my screen without any delay. Let's start with the webinar. So here I share my screen. You can keep your pen and papers ready if you want to make any notes. So as you can see on the screen, the topic for today is diagram label and sentence completion questions in relation to the reading section of your IELTS exam. Okay, so these two questions we'll be discussing in detail. Let's see what all do we have to be discussed. So to be discussed, diagram label questions. First, we'll throw some light on these. Then we'll move on to sentence completion questions. We'll see some sample and practice question and answers, the scoring tips and strategies. And in the end, I'll give you some time to ask your doubts. So doubt clearing session. All right. So let's start with the first question of the webinar today, which is diagram labeling questions. So let's read about it first a little bit. So it says explanation of this question type. You will be given a diagram or a plan. You are required to label specific parts with words from the text or a word list. Okay, then the diagram will be one of the following. So it may be a design or a plan or a technical drawing like a machine or invention, or it can be a diagram of something in the natural world. Okay, so any of these three you might encounter in the reading paper. Okay, moving on to read about it further. If you are required to select words from the text for the answers, you will be told how many words you're allowed to use for each label. For example, one word or no more than two words. Hyphenated words such as mother-in-law count as one word. Okay, even if they are separated by hyphens, still it is considered as one single word. So just be careful about that. If you use the wrong number of words, your answer will be marked incorrect, even if the information you give is correct. This particular question includes a list of words with which to label the diagram. The information needed to label it correctly will be in the text, although it may be concealed in synonyms and paraphrasing. So you already are aware, and you must be aware that in reading paper, synonyms and paraphrasing play a very important role. So just enhance your vocabulary before sitting for the exam. Next is skills needed for this diagram type of question. This type of question tests your ability to interpret a diagram, scan for specific information, identify synonyms and paraphrasing, and read in detail for meaning. So these are few of the skills needed from your side. Now let's go through the tips one by one. What are the key tips for this particular question? Diagram labeling questions are not as hard as they may at first seem. If you apply the step-by-step strategy I explain below, you should be able to master them. Okay, so let's see what I've put here for you. Second is, don't panic if the diagram looks complicated. It won't be. A diagram is just another way of presenting information, a combination of language and a drawing. You need no prior knowledge of the subject in order to complete it. Remember, this is a test of your reading skills, nothing else. Again, just follow the strategy. Third is, use any little clues that are present in the diagram to help you understand it. In our diagram, for example, we have some numbers, some text, one completed label, a heading in the word list box. Each gives you important information about the topic and it will be related to the answers in some way. So I'll show you how to interpret it below. So in the end, I'll show you one example question as well so that it's more clear. Let's continue with the tips for now. Fourth tip is, you may be given a glossary of keywords that could be unfamiliar to you. Fifth is, try to get a general understanding of the diagram before you read the text. Next tip is, scan for keywords in the text to locate the paragraph with the answer in, then read in detail to identify the words or words needed for the label. Seventh tip says, the information in the text that contains the answers will very likely include synonyms to, so be on the lookout for them. So again, the information in the text that contains the answers is very likely including synonyms. Again, as I said, that paraphrasing will be used, and synonyms means same meaning words will be used. So there will be no same words, in the structure as present in the question as well as the sentence. Both will be paraphrased. So in eighth tip, they say, if you're struggling with a particular label, move on. Grab the easiest marks and come back to relook at the others later if there's time left at the end. Make an educated guess if you have to rather let than leaving the answer blank. You may guess correctly and score the point. So again, this is another kind of tip which I also personally give my candidates while preparing for their IELTS exam, that they should not leave any blank in reading and listening paper because guesswork is allowed. There is no negative marking for your paper. Okay. So you can always guess the answer and then move on to another question. If you're choosing words from a word list, it will be easier to determine the answer when you've eliminated some of the other words. So use this elimination process as I told you in Match the Heading webinar as well, that when you eliminate, it becomes easy for you to, choose the correct answer from the less options. Okay, moving on to the strategy. So here I'll show you how to apply this strategy in the example below, but first you need to understand it. So the first strategy is read the instructions carefully. First, find out whether you have to label the diagram with words from the text or from a word list. If the words come from the text, note how many words you're required to write. Example, one word or no more than two words. Okay, something like this will be given in the instruction. Second strategy is briefly look at the diagram and try to get a general understanding of what it's showing. There will be clues in the headings, figures, and any labels already added. Third, scan the text for keywords. This will identify where the answers are located. Fourth, read the relevant section of text in detail to find each answer. And fifth and last strategy is fill in the answer sheet and check your spelling. So as you must be aware of, this thing that in listening and reading, even in writing paper, spelling plays a very major role again. So if your spellings are wrong, definitely your marks are cut on that. And it, negatively affects your band. Moving on to the sample paragraph. So something like this as a paragraph would be given to you. So for example, here I have taken school experiments. There is one big paragraph out of which you have to choose the information. So in school experiments, relation to this, question like this will be given to you. So question 126, you can see here. The diagram below shows how copper sulfate can be made using simple laboratory equipment. And something like this is given to you, the diagram. So reaction, then there is a blank, then you have to write about concentration, second blank, third, fourth, and you have to describe whatever is here in the diagram. So after reading this paragraph, you'll come to know how to write this. So I have placed few answers as well for you so that you know how to pick up the answers or the words as answers from the passage. So first answer to the first question is, let's see what was the first question, reaction 1. Okay, so let's see what have they given in explanation. The second stage is the filtration stage and so on. So as you can see here, from the paragraph, they have taken this line. Okay, the first reaction is when the glass beaker is on the top of a tripod and 20 centimeter of dilute sulfuric acid. And then if we find this line here, the second stage is the filtration stage. This is the line we are talking about. And then it moves on. So if you read it further, you will be able to find it why the answer is first as filtration. Okay. Second is crystallization. So explanation given is the final crystallization stage happens when the solution begins to cool and pure copper sulfate crystals start to form. Answer 1 and 2 can be understood from the mentioned information that defines stages. The stage 2 or the two stages out of 4 are mentioned in the diagram. So as you can see here, out of 4, 2 have been mentioned, and as it is a list, similar information is required. So you'll understand after reading these kind of paragraphs and practicing more of these questions, that how do you calculate that which word has to go where. So once you have read 1 or 2 lines here, you'll understand what is the procedure and how is it going further for the passage, right? So this is how you have to complete the answer. Next, moving on to another kind of question, which is sentence completion questions. So let's read about it further. Explanation of the question type first. So you will be given a set of 4 or 5 sentences with gaps in them. Okay, so basically, more or less, it's just like fill in the blanks. You are required to fill the gaps with appropriate words to complete the meaning of the sentence. So the instructions will tell you how many words you are allowed to use to fill the gap. So read them very carefully. They will most likely tell you to use one word or no more than 2 words. Okay, so these kind of instructions will be given to you. If you use the wrong number of words, your answer will be marked incorrect, even if the information you give is correct. So in case you have to write just one word and you have written 2 words as an answer, so that will be considered as wrong. So this is strictly to be followed, word limit, okay, for the answer. The instructions will also state whether you have to use words taken from the reading text or if you can use different ones, that is synonyms. So again, just like diagram labeling questions, in this question as well, there will be a list given to you either, or they will tell you that you can find the answers from the reading text. Okay, so that will be mentioned in the instructions. So before attempting any kind of question in listening and reading paper, both, you have to read the instructions first. Now let's discuss some skills which are needed for this particular kind of question, sentence completion. So this type of question tests your ability to identify synonyms, understand paraphrasing, scan for specific information, and read in detail for meaning. So it's more or less the same. And we also know the meaning of synonyms and paraphrasing so far. So let's quickly discuss more about this question. So you need a good knowledge and understanding of synonyms and paraphrasing for all IELTS reading questions, but they are particularly important in sentence completion questions. Okay, so here is a quick reminder of what each of them is. Synonyms are words that mean exactly or nearly the same as a given word. For example, for the word true, you could also use genuine, accurate, factual, or correct. So these are 4 of the synonyms. Just to tell you that what are synonyms, let's see what is paraphrasing. Paraphrasing is saying the same thing in a different way or in different ways, using different words and or a different sentence structure. For example, first sentence is the new restaurant was small and cozy and the food excellent. B, the cuisine served in the new eatery was superb and the atmosphere intimate. So if you are realizing that A and B are similar in meaning, but you can see how the structure and the words and phrases have changed. Let's see in another slide, how have they done it? You'll notice that the paraphrase sentence B contains a number of synonyms as well as being structured in a different way to the original sentence A. So these synonyms have been used for restaurant, a eatery has been used, right? So it means the same. Small and cozy, a intimate. Food, a cuisine, and excellent, a superb. So you can see that how you have to build your vocabulary in order to complete these kind of sentence completion questions. So vocabulary is a must as a tip. Now let's discuss some few major key tips here to particularly solve this kind of question. First is read the instructions carefully to find out how many words you should write for the answer. B, if you have to use the exact same words from the text, or you can use synonyms. Second tip is read the sentences before you read the text. It's a waste of time reading the passage first, as you don't know what information you're looking for until you've read and understood the sentences, right? So please do not read the paragraph first, okay? As soon as you get the paper, just go to the questions, look at the questions, and then try to find the answers for those particular questions only. Okay, so no need to read each and every line. That will waste your time in reading paper. Third tip is the answers appear in the same order in the text as the order of the list of incomplete sentences. Moving on to another slide. Another tip, the completed sentences must be grammatically correct. If they aren't, then you have the wrong answer. Okay, so after writing any answer, I would advise my candidates, that they should read the sentence from the beginning till end to see if it is, fitting grammatically correct. Fifth, when first studying the sentences, try to, work out what type of word is missing. Example, a noun, a verb, an adjective, or an adverb. This will help you to find it more quickly. Scan, sixth, scan to find the location of the answer, then read in detail to find the answer itself. Seventh tip is always be thinking about synonyms and paraphrasing. Look for matching meaning rather than exact word matches when comparing the information in the sentences and the text. So please do not try to, find out same words which have been used in the question, because they won't be there. They will be paraphrased, or either synonyms will be used in place of them. Now let's look at some strategies which you can follow for this particular kind of question, sentence completion. First strategy is carefully read the instructions. Second is read the sentences with the gaps in. Try to understand what they mean. Try to predict the type of word that's missing. Example, a noun, a verb, an adjective, or an adverb. And occasionally you may be even able to guess the missing word. Fourth strategy is underline keywords to scan for in the text. Include names, numbers, dates, and places if there are any, as these will be easy to spot. Think about possible synonyms as you do this. Next strategy is fifth, scan the text for the keywords in the first sentence. It's important that you start with this one, even if you think some of the other sentences will be easier to complete. Remember, the answers will come in order in the text, so it will be much easier and quicker if you search for them in order. So as I have told you in previous webinars as well, that in reading, most of the questions, except true, false, and match the heading questions, most of the questions lie under this scheme or category, that the answers you'll find in the passage will be in chronological order. Okay. So sixth strategy is finding the keywords will show you where the answer is located. You then need to read that part of the text in detail to find the actual answer. The text will probably paraphrase the incomplete sentence, so you'll need to interpret what it means to find the correct match of information. Then identify the word or words you need for the answer. Seventh strategy is when you've found the answer, fill in the answer sheet. Check that the sentence is grammatically correct and that your spelling is correct. Then eighth strategy says, repeat this process with the next sentence and so on until you have completed them all. So it's not just for one question. These strategies have to be applied for each and every question which you see. Ninth is, if there's a sentence you're really struggling with, take a guess at the missing word and move on. If you waste too much time trying to get this 1 mark, you'll run out of time and miss out on easier marks later on. So it's very important to, make some guesses and just move on if you're fixed or stuck with any of the difficult questions, because it's useless to waste time, especially in the reading paper. It's very much time restricted. Okay, this is another passage as an example that how will you get, in the sentence completion questions. So you can see the passage has been divided into paragraphs. Here are 3, 1, 2, 3, and next 2 paragraphs are in the next slide, 4 and 5. So here are 5 paragraphs as an, sample question in front of you. And the questions related to these passages or paragraphs are 1 to 5. So something like this will be given to you in sentence completion questions. You can see 1 to 5, complete the sentences using no more than 3 words from the passage for each answer. So something like this as an instruction will be given to you. So no more than 3 words. Okay. So you cannot use 4 or 5 words. You can use 1 or 2 because less than 3 is allowed, but not more than 3. So as an example, I have given 5 statements here. First, second, third, fourth, and fifth. And I have listed down some few sample answers for you. So let's read those sample answers one by one. So as you can see, first is habitats. Let's read the sentence first. During World War I, Halifax Harbour was unable to handle the increased shipping traffic properly, and there were numerous dash Now, what can be the answer? Answer which they have given is habitats, and the explanation for them is they have found this information in paragraph 2, by the way. Explanation, paragraph 2. This one. First and this second paragraph, the Canada goose. Okay. Now, let's read the explanation first. The geese are known to occupy a wide range of habitats, which is the answer, in temperate to low Arctic areas, including the tundra, and so on. The sentence, continues. So this is how they have found from paragraph 2 the answer as habitats to this first question. Second question is, the emu was not in the correct dash and traveling too fast. So let's see what have they given the answer to this. Second answer is oil, gas, gas or oil. So you can write two words here, gas and oil, as we can see that the, instructions which have been given is no more than 3 words, and these are 2 words. So they have given either you can write in the format oil or gas, or either you can write gas first and then oil. Let's see the explanation. They have found this answer in paragraph 3. For most goose populations, nesting areas in the Arctic are secure. However, the development of gas and oil industries poses a danger to these groups. So you can see gas and oil, 2 words. So it has been fitted as a correct answer here for second one. Okay, so this is how you majorly look for answers in the paragraphs. So first you read these questions. Okay, the blanks, what kind of answers do you need? Either you need 1 word, 2 word, or 3 words according to the instruction. And then you go back to the passage. So no need to read each and every line here which is given in the passage, because that would waste your time. We just read it in the tips as well. So you just read the question and go back to the passage to find that particular line. But yes, if you're looking for the same exact line which is written here in the question, then it's wrong. Just, paraphrase in your own mind what kind of words can be used, or what can be words can be used as synonyms. So just don't just, waste your time in finding the same word. All right. So moving on to another slide. Just a second, guys. Okay. So moving on to another slide after this, which says that, yes, if you do have any queries related to IELTS, you can always go back to our pages and you can write down your queries on the comment section. Also, if you want to go and visit our YouTube channel with the same name, then definitely you can do that. We have the same name YouTube channel as well. So now I stop sharing my screen here. We are done with the webinar. Now I give you some time for doubt clearing. So let me know in the Q&A section here if you have any doubt related to this particular webinar or anything related to IELTS exam. You can just put your questions here one by one. Okay, so when we are trying to fill in the blanks in sentence completion, then only we need to paraphrase the questions, right? Yes, definitely. So as I said, you don't need to read each and every line in the passage. Just look at the questions first, skim and scan the passage. And while you're scanning, while you're highlighting the important words, you can just go back after reading the questions and look for that particular line or word which you need as an answer. Okay, so during that time, while you're scanning the question, not the passage, here I'm talking about the question. So once you scan the question, you highlight the words which can be paraphrased according to you. That time you will paraphrase in your mind. Okay, and then you'll go back to the passage to see whether you were right or is there any other synonym which has been used. Somebody is asking, when will you have speaking classes? Well, we are starting with the daily webinars next month from June. So you will have the speaking classes at that moment during that month of June. So this month we are only focusing on reading. We are only left with few more question types. So that will be ending within this month. And from the next month, we'll be starting with the, webinar, and there we'll be covering up speaking, listening, writing, every section of, IELTS exam, every module. Thank you so much. I hope these tips and strategies and whatever we are discussing, even in the Q&A section, it helps you, because, listening from others' questions, listening to others' questions, and then I'm answering them. So maybe if you do not have a doubt as well, still that would help you to listening to, other person's question. So I always advise, even if the webinar is finished, you stay back and listen to others' question so that your doubts can also be just, covered in those doubts. So I hope I have answered each and everyone's queries and all the questions have been answered well. I hope that will help them. So if you do not have any other question in your mind, then I would like to call it off here. And thank you so much, everyone, for joining in. So I hope to see you very soon in the upcoming webinar next week. And we'll be covering up another reading question there. Okay, fine. All right. Thank you so much for joining in. Have a great weekend, everybody. Bye-bye.